Good evening, everybody. This is Arizona Ashy. It's 3/8/2022 at 7 p.m. Our class tonight will be on roof inspections. We've got a lot of different roofs here, so as we're going, please mic yourself up and ask the question if you have a question. Okay, so as we go through. Okay, Harris Bright, that's the guy sitting right there on your screen, master electrician. He knows a lot about roofing. Also on your screen, there's a camera. You can snap the camera and take a screenshot at any time, so you don't have to write anything down. There I am, kaboom. You can take a screenshot if you feel like it. Okay, we're going to start talking about composition shingles. The term composition is used because the shingles are composite made from either fiberglass or cellulose mat. Everyone's using the word asbestos. It's not asbestos or asphalt. It's actually a composition. So when you go onto the websites, it talks about what it's made of. So take a shot of this picture to make sure this is what you're using when you're writing your reports, because this is actually what the product is. Any statements on this, Harris?
No, your camera's off, by the way.
Why? You want to look at me? Okay, here we go. I'll turn on my camera.
I don't want to look at you.
Thank you. There we go, everybody. Hi. Okay. I wore a clean hat for today. Okay, here we go. So this type of roof here is an architectural grade shingle roof. What is the slope of this roof? Do you walk this type of roof, Harris?
It's got to be more than 412.
Okay, so this is probably a 612 roof. Most of you might walk this if you think you're a billy goat or something. But we have a rule that if the roof's over 412, 512, we're not going to walk on this roof. You'd have to be billy goat to get to it. And then we put that on the report and we say we didn't walk on it to the high slope. Harris, any idea what this vent is on the top of the roof is for?
That's a ridge vent.
Okay. So are we required, according to the SOPs, to report on venting for the attic space?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So the idea is to determine, now are we supposed to determine age, anybody?
Well, we need to determine if it's at the end of its useful life or nearing the end of its useful life.
Okay. So on your keyboard, you can hit plus or minus to make the screen bigger so you can zoom in a little bit if you need to see it. Okay, so when you take a look at this, we can see if my mouse is right here, you can see that this is a cut valley instead of a woven. So they lay one piece in across the roof on the valley and then cut the other one. So there's a straight line coming down. The ridge on the top here is take another piece of shingle and lay it into place. And then over here on the back side, we don't have a cricket where our ductwork is tied to the roof. They've just installed some tar here and mesh. Would any of you write this up, the lack of a cricket? Harris?
Flash it.
No,
I think it has to be more than 30 inches.
it's got to be more than 30 inches.
Yeah, more than 30. Okay. So unless you see ponding water, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So you just move on from there. Okay, asphalt shingles come in two forms, organic and fiberglass, also known as glass fiber. So most of them are going to be fiberglass. They're thinner. They used to sell them by weight. Now we just talk about the type. Organic asphalt shingles have a paper mat or backing with a layer of asphalt added on top. Fiberglass shingles contain a mat made of fiberglass with a layer of asphalt added. We'll take a look at those and see what the defect looks like. Go ahead and take a screenshot so you have that if you need it. And these statements are from the roofing companies themselves. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, composition shingles are made from materials such as asphalt or asbestos, tar paper, slate, shake, laminate, and wood. Okay. Asphalt shingles can be made with granules containing leachable copper. Why would that be that case, Harris?
Well, because copper absorbs heat and transfers it out of the shingle.
Okay. Is it also so that we don't have a lot of mold growing on the shingles?
No mold.
Yeah. This helps resist algae growth. Well, it says it right there. I didn't realize it was there. Composite shingles have algae moss inhibitors to prevent them from forming. The shingles can also be coated to protect against ultraviolet light. I don't know why that would be the case, probably to prevent it from getting damaged. Okay, is this roof in need of replacement?
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, It's probably at the end of its life. We could take a look here. I did this for the people up north, so you'd feel better. And you can see how the roof is rippling as it moves up. Is this a second roof on top of the original roof? Yep. So this roof is on top of another roof. Can I put more than 2 roofs on one structure?
No.
No. The answer is no. Take a look at your gutter. See how the nails are working their way out? So the gutter is coming loose. Your drip edge is over the inside of the gutter is required so that it drips in there, but you can see the ponding water has caused the algae to grow in the gutter, so it's not draining. Take a look up here at your boots on your roof and your sewer vent. I'm not sure what that vent is from this point. It almost looks like transite, but it's hard to tell. Up here we have static roof vents right here. Here's one here. Here's another. Some of you know how many square feet of space you need to report on venting, but are we supposed to be doing a calculation of venting requirements?
No.
No. So, and we can tell here by the trees and stuff, this is a northern climate. So this roof needs to be replaced. So on our report, we would write up that this roof is at the end of its life. A roofer should estimate, should give you an estimate of repairs. And when would they do that, Harris?
And within the 10-day period of your inspection.
Right. Yeah. After their inspection period time, they cannot come back and renegotiate. The contract has been met and they move on from there. Some people say, oh, why would we tell them? Well, what do you want them to do? Guess what you're telling them? You're not supposed to tell them, if the roof needs to be replaced, but is the roof at the end of its lifespan? Here, Roger, would you write this up as at the end of its life, or is this a pretty good roof where you're from?
No, it's aging. Lifespan is questionable. I would probably
Aging.
put my
Oh, okay. So it's aging. And how long does a roof last?
It depends on a lot of things: the weather, the overall climate,
Okay.
the integrity of the shingle to begin with.
Sure. Okay, so take a look here at the end here. You can see the shingle roof comes down and then sort of angles back up because along this edge, when they put the gutter in, they lifted the drip edge. The drip edge is forcing water back underneath the edge of the shingles. So would we have any signs of damage or leakage along the end of the eaves at this location?
There should be.
Probably. So we'd have to go take a look and see what we got. So in this case here, roof is near the end of its lifespan. Roofer should look at and determine replacement if needed. Okay, so these are one of these diagrams that many of you insert in your reports. We don't put these in for next week. Let's just move on. Bill, I need you to mute your mic. Keep muted. Here we go. There he is. Now he's muted. Okay, so here we have this picture that says sheathing, ice water shield, and underlayment. And they're showing the shingles coming down. And then they show your drip edge here and outside wall. You might as well be showing people a picture of Yeti. They don't have a clue what they're looking at, so what does it matter? Okay, here we are at the edge of the roof, and we can look and see I got 1, 2, 3, 4 edges of a shingle. Is this 2 roofs or 4 roofs?
Two roofs.
2 roofs, yeah. We start with a starter row of shingles. And you can see this is red with granulars. And then here we have a different color up here. And there may even be underlayment inside of this. But at this time, here's my underlayment. Here's a roof. Here's a roof. If this roof is in poor condition, we're done. It's going to need to be stripped down, and the cost for this will be significant if the decking isn't damaged. Okay, if you need a new roof and 2 layers of roofing are already in place, building codes require stripping the roof down to the sheathing. Now, one thing I'm finding out, which is sort of interesting, in Arizona, do we have to pull a permit to re-roof? Does the buyer have to pull a permit to re-roof in Arizona? The answer is no. The answer is no. But in other parts of the country, when you re-roof, they require you get a permit because they want to make sure the decking has been inspected before you reinstall your roof. So at this time in Arizona, we don't require, now unless it's a local thing, we don't require that you get a permit. Okay, so there you go. Okay, here's a rock or stone chimney. I don't know if this is faux or real rock, but you can see here, looks like some sort of flashing. They've stepped it up. They've keyed it into the rock work. and each one is attached to the next one down. This could be lead, but I don't know. And then they installed a little piece of flappy hair thing and then some tar paper sticking out. But this is still an architectural grade shingle roof. Now, when we say architectural grade, what does that mean, Harris?
That means it's a much thicker roof and it lasts a minimum of 25 years according to the manufacturer.
Thank you. So according to the manufacturer, it's a 25-year roof, but let's pretend it's not. It'll last longer. So he and I say the same thing. Wishful thinking, 25-year roof, architectural grade. Is the condition of this roof okay, or do I need repairs on the flashing?
Flashing needs repairs.
Yeah. So we're going to call for a roofer to take a look at the flashings. We're going to go inside and look around the chimney on the fireplace, and then look and see if we have leakage. Also, at the top of the chimney here where we have our cap, we can see some sort of other rock product or material. Our cap or crown is going to need to be sealed to prevent water entry. Also, it looks like we have gaps here in our mortars. We're going to need a repointing of the mortar joints. Okay. Tuck pointing is a special type of product. So when someone writes down tuck pointing, that's not true. Okay, so here we go. What kind of roof do we have under the shingle roof?
Cedar shake.
Cedar shake. So in this case, it's a sawn shake instead of split. You can see because it's consistent. I don't think, do we have any of these kind of roofs at all anymore up in Flagstaff, Roger? And
No,
Haley?
and the last one I saw was probably 10 years ago.
yeah, we just don't see these. The insurance companies have really cracked down on them, and wood is wood is going bye practice so fire. So in this case, there's probably no decking. So when you get up in the attic, you look up and you'll see spaced sheathing, like 1x4s or 6s, and there's no sheathing. So that adds another, $60, $70 for a sheet right now. So we're talking super amount of money. What kind of shingle is this, Harris?
Asphalt shingles.
Yeah, this is asphalt. You can tell by the thickness of the shingle and the layering on the edge. Your rocks are embedded in that. So, and right here, you can see along this edge how it's coming loose. You can usually tell because the ends of the shingle just looks a little tattered and torn, like a book that's been well read. I break off the corner here and I put up my fingers and I rub it between my thumb and my finger, and it breaks into powder and it just blows away. And that shingle's at the end of its life. They always go, how much more life do I have? Oh, I don't know, minimal. Okay.
Until the end of the inspection period.
Yeah. Hopefully it makes it to the end of the inspection. I'll be here 2 hours today, and I'm going to move on from there. Okay. If you ask for a copy of this, we'll send it to you. Do you see all these different shingle companies? What's pretty cool about this is, I don't want to click on it now because it'll take me out of PowerPoint. Each one of these has a hyperlink. So you can go to every one of these. I set it up as a hyperlink for you. And so you just click on it, control click, and it'll take you to any one of these companies, and you can look up and see what the requirements are. It's pretty powerful stuff for all these different brands. Some of these I've never even heard of myself. Malarkey. I want to use a company called Malarkey. I don't know if any of you are Irish. I think that's the same as saying BS. I don't know. That's Malarkey. But there you go. Okay, let's take a look at this roof here. We can see again, I have delamination of the surface. So what type of shingle is this, Harris? Is this composition or asphalt?
Asphalt type shingle.
Asphalt. We're seeing less and less of these, but it's where the surface sort of delaminates from the surface. So take a look at your keyways here coming down, and always the keyways are supposed to be, okay, take a look here. See how each one is offset from the next? These are never to line up. But sometimes you see where every one of these is lined up down the roof. They sure look pretty, but they wear out very quickly as the water runs from one to the other.
They'll automatically line up every 5th course or so, though.
Yeah, every 5th course they'll line up if you follow the instructions. And everyone says, well, how am I supposed to know? Well, it says it on every package. This tree growing out of the middle of the roof is a giveaway for me that the roof is probably needing to be replaced. And you can see the moss growing out of here. It's the best. Okay, so we have 2 different roofs here, and again, I get these pictures sent to me, and they go, well, what do you think the roof's like? Well, let's look at the neighbors at the top of it here. Do they need a roof, or should they
Looks like
monitor this roof for replacement? Okay, monitor. Sure, I'll do that right now. Okay, there's my gutter. Here's my downspout. Now, do you guys do an analysis? Is there enough downspout for this? Well, you don't have to. You don't have to even do that. You just look around, see if there's any rotting fascia board. These windows here, I don't know if they're sealed or not. And then the siding. Are we supposed to report the type of cladding and condition?
Yes,
Correct.
Yeah. So we have to look at our windows. These look like aftermarket windows to me. They're sitting up above, and they've installed some sort of flashing here. So we'd have to look at those pretty close. But I need a roof on both of these, and then the one to the right here.
Yeah, the ridge cap is missing.
Ridge cap's missing, and I got two different roofs here, and I got moss growing here and moss growing out of this. And they say the roof's
It
not
looks
leaking. Why was I
it's
so
like every
mean?
other shingle
Huh?
chorus is lining up with the
Yeah.
with the gaps.
Yeah. Boop, 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 right here. It's a great way to drain water off your roof. Okay, so we're going to take a look at our chimney here. Now, we don't see this much in Arizona unless you have a basement, but if you're in a northern area, here's your vent, probably from the furnace sitting in the basement or somewhere, and here's your wood burning chimney, and it looks like it was an unlined chimney, and they lined it with bricks. Your crown here is totally bad, and it's all falling apart. So I'd be writing that up in 2 seconds. And then there's no storm collar around this vent here, this little piece of metal that's sort of, I don't know what they're doing here, but either way, it's secured down. They've got tar around it, and it's, water's ponding. So would anybody write this up as needing repair or replacement or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, both, everything you just said. So this is a whitewash finish on a clay brick. So this is high clay, low sand. And the reason I say that, when you get down in Phoenix and south, we have high sand, low clay. So the bricks for this fireplace are fired bricks. Where we get to a brick in Arizona and Phoenix, it's pressed brick, unfired. So take a look here at all the joints. So the mortar's coming out. And Harris, would I need to repoint all these?
You do, you have to, point each one, and also the flashing is missing.
Oh, right here?
No, that's a good flashing.
Yeah, that's good. The rust
as
there, I
long as
think, is a good indicator.
Water out.
Yeah, a lot of tar. Thank you. Okay, so again, and then we take a look over here at the valley. This is the same roof over and over again, everybody. But you can see here how the shingles are coming apart, delamination of the surface. It's sort of crazy. Sometimes I'll write this up. Not sometimes. The condition I'm seeing, it needs to be re-roofed. Okay. So now, do you write up water draining directly onto a roof from another higher roof that just cascades across the shingles?
Yes,
Okay, so this drain be extended down to another location instead of dumping one roof down. You can see the line here as it's coming down, and my flashing comes down over, my siding comes over the flashing. There might be something there. It's hard to say. We'll have to go inside, but either way, so the vent and the drain here are wrong.
yes,
Here's a closer picture, and here's my siding. In this case, this looks like hardy board, plank, or something, or whatever you want to call it in your area. And this flashing comes up and up under here, and then comes down, and they've nailed it down or screwed it, and then put a little glob of tar there. Is this flashing okay then?
not really.
What would you like to see since you're so picky?
A three-part built up repair.
Uh-huh. So if this has a lot of slope to it and the water just flows off, or do you want to see a lot of goopy tar under here and then this all sealed up with more goop? Harris can't think right now. It's okay.
As long as they keep the water out, that's the main thing.
Yeah, okay. The idea is here is that water should flow down the area and slope away. So the shingle roof looks pretty good, but the flashings are bad. Okay, these oaky vents here, they're metal, and then they have a little rubber boot here around the side, and this is PVC, or I'm sorry, ABS. Back
Yes.
east are always something else. Now, these vents on a shingle roof have to be a certain height. They have to be higher than the average snowfall in your area. So how tall would these be in your area up north? We got a couple of
No less than 6 inches.
yeah. So So in southern Arizona, it's 6 inches. Everywhere else, it's 12 inches or more. And the higher slope of your roof, do I need to have a snow guard on this?
Yes.
Snow guards. Yeah, because you'll go to a house and you look up and none of the vents are there. They've all been snapped off as the snow slid off. Okay, this is a furnace flue, and here's our storm collar. Our storm collars required by the manufacturer to prevent leakage between the vent and the boot itself. This.
Yes, they are.
They
Yes.
are, and they're required to be caulked or sealed as required. Somebody's talking in the background for one of you. Do you know who that is?
Phone call or whoever that is.
Yeah, the phone caller. Your caller 00. Okay, I'll fix that. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know who it is. It's C. Caller 00. Huh. Okay, keep muted. Here we go. Yep, that solves that. Okay, so I can see the rust here. Now, why is this rust or oxidation?
Looks like rust.
Okay, so we got some rust there, and the galvanizing looks pretty good. And these always have an angle on them, and the angle is supposed to be shorter on the top side of your slope. And then here's my cap. Now, one of the things we don't deal with here much, but your cap is required to face out of the prevailing winds to prevent water from coming underneath your cap. So if you're in a high wind area, and how do I know that? Because I read the instruction booklet. So see this cap here? So if I have tile or a cap that's made out of whatever product, if it's failing, if it's in a high wind area, like on a bluff or facing the ocean or something, these have to face out of the prevailing wind. Cool, huh? Okay, here's your static roof vent. There's some school training them that this has a special name, like an O'Hagan vent or something. Has anyone ever heard of that?
Yeah, O'Hagan vets are a different animal, but similar.
Okay, but one of you went to the O'Hagan School of venting probably, and so you can see here they put a little nail in it because there's enough slope. There's no patching as long as the counter flashing. Now, do any of you want to see patching along this edge?
Yes.
Okay, so I usually put some tar underneath here to seal it, and it says something here that this vent is adequate for 50 square inches. That seems weird to me.
Well, that's the amount of free area. is 50
Oh, that's
square
the
inches.
free area, 50 square inches of the vent.
Yeah, it's, taking into account the screen that might be inside that to keep birds from going up inside that vent.
Yeah. So
Birds are
you
inside.
lose about a third of your area based on the screening that's in it. Now the screening on these, is this a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch?
Well, maximum of a 1/4 inch.
Yeah. So, excuse me, these vents, if we're looking at combustion air vents on the roof and such, they have to be a 1/4 inch. They used to be an 1/8, but the sail effect tends to take over and there's not enough airflow through 1/8 of an inch vent. So this one's out of focus. Okay, here we go. Is this roof at the end of its life?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I don't need to monitor this anymore, right? And is this an asphalt roof or composition, Harris?
Composition.
Yeah. So
Oh, actually, I'm sorry, asphalt.
yeah, it's asphalt. That's okay. I wanted to say you're wrong, but you answered me so quickly I couldn't say it.
I
Thank
beat
you.
you to it.
You made my day. Thank you. Okay, so this is back when we used to use clipboards. Well, I use a clipboard every once in a while. So I'm doing the inspection and I pull this product up. It's a mineral surface rolled roof and they call it stick and peel. And I don't think it's sticking. And it's loose along this whole edge and it's just been re-roofed. So there's no nails. Now you cannot, per the manufacturer, you cannot nail over living space on a rolled roof. Okay, the manufacturer says that. So you can go on porches and other
Over
stuff like
patio
that.
or something like that, it's okay. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
over
saying?
patio, non-living space, patios, carports, and it says it right on the package. So everyone says, well, how do you know that? Well, I find the package laying there, I take a picture and put it in the report. Now, what I like to do so everyone knows it's me, do you see my logo over here, the little man laying bricks here, for brick by brick? I always take my card and I throw it down next to this. So my card is in the picture. I know it's sort of self-serving, but I love it. Okay, now why do we see stair step cracking on a shingle roof going up at a 45-degree angle? This is pretty common on some of these shingles because of a defective installation method. And what is it? Why? Well, I'll tell you. So on these shingles, there's a plastic strip on the back that says do not remove. And that plastic strip is there so that the shingle will slide. And when you go to these houses, you all see they pull that plastic strip off. They go, well, why won't this stick better? And the shingle sticks so well that it actually starts tearing it when it expands. So you'll see these 45-degree tears running up the roof. But the roof itself, look how nicely these are installed, running. I mean, just perfect lines going up the roof. But when I see this tearing here, it's the insulation method is bad.
How old is that roof, Rick?
Roof like this, 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're not going to see this in a cold climate, but usually you'll see this specifically on the south side due to the high extreme expansion based on thermal expansion. That's exactly what it is. So there it is way, and there it is close. See how you got that tear there?
Mhm.
Your
So, sir,
toes.
how would you write that up? What would you say in your report?
The roof installation is faulty, and you should call the warranty department to see if there's any if the roofing company will come out and do anything about this. But the roof is defective. The installation is defective based on the tearing of the shingles. And I doubt there's any roofer on the planet that will come out and repair this for you. They're going to want to put a new roof on. Okay, so that's how I'd write it up. The roof is tearing at a 45 degrees. You can see it in multiple locations. And as we walk across the roof, you'll see more of this cracking that hasn't been so-called patched like they've done it. Okay, so that's it. Again, I'm not pulling this roof up because I want to. The seams just aren't sealed down. Now this roof here, if you take a look, you can see from here all the way back. Here's the next piece. So this is a built-up roof, and your overlap on these is 18 inches on a 36-inch wide product on your product. And the hot mop, they're supposed to mop these edges, and they're just not mopping them. Now, some of you may see torch down where they torch these, but hot mop is a pretty much simple one that's done. Shingle roof, I need to see step flashing. You don't see this much used, but this is what I like to see. Instead of running a rake down this edge or pan flashing, you see that all the time where they just lay it up against the wall and goop the hell out of it and then hope it doesn't leak. So in this case here, the step flashing is let into each joint and then patched as it comes down. What's missing down here at the bottom?
Kick out flashing.
Kick out flashing. And, before 10 years ago, I'd never even heard of a kick out flashing, to be truthful. We just let the water run down the wall and make a mark and go in through the window. And we said, hey, look at that window's defective. And now all of you are running around screaming, kick out flashing, kick out flashing. You can't help yourselves. Up here, I see a gas line probably entering this vent. So does that mean, what's this vent for?
Probably the attic.
Probably the gable end vent. And you can see here the layout in the bricks. It's a little bit different layout based on the manufacturer. But this shingle roof is an architectural grade shingle roof. So they spent a lot of money. It looks pretty good to me, except the flashing right here along this edge. So I call for flashing repair, no kick out flashing. Is my sewer line, so what's the age of this house? Let's do it that way.
60s.
Yeah, probably the 60s. So it could be all the way from 1920 to 1960 because it's cast iron. Is the vent tall enough off the roof? Nope. So in this case here, I always write this up and say that it has to be taller to meet the requirements. And the minimum is 6 inches. 6 inches. So I'm going to write that up. Am I missing the roof jack? Jack?
Yes.
There's no roof jack here. There's no boot. There's no flex anything. And they put this tar. Now the tar, if I took my finger or a screwdriver to stick it in it, see how it's gray already? It's all worn out, and I'm starting to get a crack here where leakage could occur. This is just a standard shingle. Now this roof here is this composition shingle, Harris?
Yes.
Yes,
It's not.
finally, you could say something and you are correct. I love it. Thank you. Harris and I work a lot
Yeah.
together, so we like to make sure each one of us is correct. Okay, so this roof is newer,
Much
much
newer.
newer. Yes, okay. Older roof, again, once it has this where the granular surface coming off, you don't need to spend any more time walking across that roof. It needs to be re-roofed. Okay, and if
Yep.
there's a roofer that says it's fine, I just back away and go, whatever, good luck. Um, he's had his license maybe about 6 months and he doesn't have a phone or an address. Okay, this is an EDPM roof. No, it's EPDM. Yeah, it's not ED, like they have ED. It's EPDM or it's a TPO. What is it? With mechanical fasteners on. It's one of those rubberized sheets where you use mechanical fasteners to secure it to the wall.
I don't know.
You see them in
It
southern
looks like a
Arizona all the
Bravo
time.
T.
So it's based on the method of how they're secured, but they're put down. They're like a rubber, like a tire, and they were used for lining ponds originally by Firestone for recovery of oil and gas. Now they're selling them as roofing product, and you see them on hotels a lot, but we're starting to see them on houses. So this is on a brick construction. Over here, this is SE cable coming up the wall. I can see the streaks here where they're running electrical wire up the wall here. This mess here, I don't know, that looked like a creature to me. I'm not sure what it is. But here we have high fired brick. These are called salamander. If you were doing some work, they sort of have that color of a salamander, and that you can see the fired marks on the side of the brick here on the common brick. Those were low grade bricks used back in the day because you could get them cheaper, and so that's what that is. So here's another picture of that same item where they secure this along the side, and it's black in nature, so it absorbs a lot of heat. And then you have your structure back here that's brick. Again, this is industrial, so it's something we may not be looking at. So I call on this case here, I just call for a roofer familiar with this type of roof to come and patch and repair as needed. I put this one in here because I think this is the cutest roof I've ever seen. Um, this was over in New Mexico. I got a chance to go look at a little chalet in the middle of nowhere. And so these are fish scales. And each one of these is cut. Isn't that the coolest? Okay, that was that. So this is only a 200-year-old roof. This is metal, and each little metal piece is soldered together, and it has at the top here one of those fruit things that grow in Hawaii. What's it called? A
Called the finial.
finial. Thank you. It's called a finial, but it's in the shape of a pineapple for wealth and health. Finial. Thank you, Harris. I've learned a new word today that I will treasure for forever. Okay, metal roofs. Do you guys inspect those at all? Here's your chance. Okay, so here we have a metal roof, and this is a screw down roof, and so these had to be screwed down to meet the manufacturer's requirements. Now, the mistake everybody makes is which direction does the overlap have to make? Out of the prevailing winds. What does that mean? So when I put this metal roof on, the overlap, the seam has to be facing out of the prevailing winds. Which direction do those come from, Harris? Almost everywhere in Arizona.
Sometimes from the south.
Yeah, let's say from the south and southwest. You look out and you say, hey, here comes a storm. So we know this one is in snow country because I have these little snowbirdie things here. What do you guys call those where it snows?
Snowbirdies.
Snowbirds, snow angels, whatever. These are here, and they're there to prevent the snow from sliding off and taking off this gas flue pipe over here. So we have a place called Mount Lemon, and we spend a lot of our time replacing gas vents and sewer pipe because all these metal roofs are put on, and when the snow slides off, it takes everything with it. It's like job security. So here's your gutter, and usually in this case, you try to put your gutter away from the edge of the eaves so that it doesn't take the gutter with it. If you're doing inspection in the winter, you can check and see if we're having heat loss because you're going to see the icicles hanging down, and then that tells us you have a place with no insulation. Anything else to add to this one, Harris?
Nope, looks good otherwise.
So take a look at your screws here. It's every 2 feet on this brand. So here's a row right here. Here they go. Here's another row, 2 feet down. A row. Here's another row, all the way across. So it's pretty easy to look up there. Now, the issue is, are the screws working their way back out? So you have to sort of look up on there. But this is a roof you don't have to jump around on, 612 pitch. So unless you're part of Tarzan's group here, or you got, I see these guys.
Magnet shoes.
I got a pair of those tiger paws, those shoes that are like gummy. And they said, I climbed all that roof. Here's a
Magnet
close-up of it.
shoes.
Yeah, the shoes. Okay, again, I'm not trying to but these shingle roofs are shot, right? Does everybody agree? Okay, so these roofs are so old, they go back to the point where they're the layers of asphalt laid in, and these roofs are really old. They're probably 20, 30, 40 years old. They just lasted forever. And then you try to shingle over them, they're crunchy when you walk on them. Okay, here's a bump out on a wall that's let's call it a veneer at this point, the brick that's here, over another masonry wall. But here's a bump out. So when I take a look at this bay window, see the separation? There's no real flashing here. They caulked it. They just caulked the hell out of it, actually. I got exposed nails here, and there's no flashing. So Harris, would you write this one up?
Yes, definitely.
And what would you say? What needs to be done by whom?
Well, it's not properly flashed. The roofer should redo it.
Okay, yeah, and he said the word not properly flashed. So there's no flashing, or it's not properly flashed?
Well, there's no flashing, but
Thank you. Yeah. So
none that I can see.
yes, thank you. So when you're writing a report, one of the complaints that comes in, and now Roger's going to be part of that committee, I think. And when I have to look at reports, I almost start crying when I go, can you just tell me what it is you were trying to say on your report? That's why everyone's complaining. Is what's wrong? You're not even telling me. You just say this is wrong and needs to be fixed. Well, no one knows what's wrong. If they did, they would have fixed it the first time. There's no flashing, and caulking is not a great way to flash between a shingle roof and a brick wall. Okay. So here's bricks that look like bricks anyway. Here's my soffit or overhang. I'm taking a look there. I don't see anything here. And do these shingles extend far enough away from my siding to allow water to flow off? Would you write this one up, Harris?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So capillary action pulls the water back underneath. There's no guard there. What's it called? Rain guard or something. So the water can't go back under there. Huh?
Drip edge.
Oh, drip edge. Yeah, let's call it drip edge underneath there. And if we're in a high freeze area, then we'd have tar paper up higher. But either way, this thing's all wrong. Okay, so here they said we're going to put flashing in for you. So I made the arrow big enough so you can see the arrow. Sorry. And then here are the bricks. I don't even think these bricks are real. I think there's some sort of glue-on thing because they just don't look real to me. But so here's your flashing coming across here. They've caulked it and they put a couple nails, and then they brought this down and they've made it so this flashing is not secured to the roof. It's made so that this roof and this flashing can slide back and forth without warping. Is that okay, or do I need to goop up this edge? You're the
That
inspector.
should be okay.
Huh? What, Harris?
It looks like it should be okay. I think if you goop up the edge, the potential is that you create a little bit of a damming effect if you put too much on there.
Yeah. So if you read the booklet, and in fact we'll give you a link. You go to any of those roofing sites I showed you, and they have installation guides on how they want this installed. That's what the roofing installation guide says. Okay. So take a look up here at our window. So if you're going to show me a picture and there's a defect in it, you better tell me it's there. So take a look at the frame here. Do you see that big gap right there in the corner where the window? This slides up and down. This is single sash window, meaning one of them moves versus double sash. And there's already rot in the window next to the trim. So I need some work here. And here's your sill. Okay. And then here's a control joint. And the mortar looks like it's sort of yellowish in color. So could this be an older house with higher, an older brick? I said it doesn't look real, but maybe these bricks are way old.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. It probably has a lot of lime in it, so you get that yellowish color instead of what we see on modern stuff. Okay, now this one takes a second to stare at, and I'm going to point right here in the middle. There's a little piece of wire sticking out of the shingle, and this is
Asbestos.
huh?
Yeah, it's an asbestos shingle.
Asbestos.
Asbestos, yeah. And so this is on a roof. This is on a roof, and you can't walk on these. I don't care what you do. You walk on them and you break them. These are forever shingle. Now this has been painted. Someone's painted it. So an inspector got himself in trouble years ago. He said the roof's been replaced. Sure enough, it had. But they took these shingles and they were laying on the ground in a stack behind the house, just sitting there. And they asked him. They said, "Well, are these a problem?" And he goes, "No, they're fine." Just like that. That's how he said it. So when they call up and said, "I want these removed," they said, "Well, those are asbestos. We can't remove them without removing them like asbestos should be." Um, Either way, his insurance paid for that. I was really surprised. But okay, so here's the same roof. So here's the picture, but here's the roof. So we've got a composition shingle roof here. Then we've got some sort of other dopey looking cap here that's made out of concrete. And these could be asbestos if we got up closer. And then we have the asbestos shingle roof here on the side. Here's one with a crack in it. Here's another crack right here. And then here's a big can of tar that's been gooped around and put on it. And here's some paint. And oh man. So is there any roofer? So here's how it works, guys. If you're going to write up a report, well, 51% of the roofers on the listening to us at this time, will they say to you, yeah, this is a great roof, don't replace it? And many of you say,
No.
oh, it's a great roof, I love this, I had the same roof. Well, your buyer doesn't think it's a great roof. They want you to do something about it. So you need to just write it up, make a statement, and then the buyer, if they don't want it, they can not buy it and move on. So are there any of you that say this asbestos roof's okay? No?
No.
No.
Oh, even Harris says no. Love it, Harris.
No.
Okay, so I'm not on this house. I'm next door. And I always love to take pictures of the next house over and say, man, look at that house. So so here you can see they're cracked, they're falling apart, cracked here. The metal valley's rusting out. These caps here used to be called like little missile caps. They have a name, but we're not going to use it anymore. So we know that these caps on the gas appliances below it are antiquated. They're not proper. They're not UL listed, and they don't prevent they prevent proper venting from occurring. So we're going to write those up. And then over here we can see a vent sticking up with the pipe is really short, so the sewer pipe was cut off too short. Here I have a pipe sticking up, and it's nice and long. And then here's my venting here for my bungalow style roof. This is your actual venting on the roof. It's where they build a cap on a cap, and these things work so well. These houses were fine built in the 1910, 1918. So there's a vent right here. If you got in the attic, you'd see it. Okay, you go ahead and take a picture with your, click on your camera here. This is the type of roofing terms you can use in your report if you'd like to use some terms. So alligating, shrinkage by bituminous surface. Oh, geez. So does anyone write up your shingles and say, I have a bituminous roof? Does anyone say these words? Thank you. I used the word surfactant the other day, and I thought everyone was going to yell at me. It's just dish soap, everybody. But I like saying the word surfactant now. You all use some. Well, some of you don't, but everyone used a surfactant within the last week. Okay, asphalt, a highly viscous hydrocarbon produced from left after distillation of petroleum used as a waterproofing agent of a built-up roof. Here's the funny thing about it. When gasoline was produced originally, we didn't even have cars. They poured it away and threw it in a pit. They wanted the kerosene so they could run their lamps. So when oil was around, it was floating on the surface. They just poured it away. They didn't know what to do with it. Ballast and anchoring material such as rock. Well, that used to be the old FHA roofs where they throw this pea gravel up on top of it. And the reason it was called pea, it wasn't like you're peeing somewhere, urinating. It was like a pea that you'd eat, a green pea. Bitumen, a generic term for asphalt or coal tar pitch roofing. If any of you are from back east, a lot of guys are writing their roof reports up like that. I'm going, who the hell are you? No one cares. Blister, a spongy raised portion of roofing. Okay, we might have that. Built up roofing, BUR. A lot of your roofs are that way, or the shingle. So a continuous semi-flexible roof covering consisting of laminations or plies of saturated. It's called a 3-ply roof. Can we just move on? So it's a 3-ply roof, or built up roofing is the same product. Cant strip. This is pretty cool. Cant strips are used at the edges of the parapet, so I don't have a 90-degree split along the parapet. And these fibrous products were used. Now we're cutting pieces of plywood for it, but this prevented a tear at the parapet wall of your roof. A lot of times when you step over, you put your heel in it, you make a mark there because the cant strip is moving. And I'm not sure why it's spelled that way, but that's the way it's spelled. Crack, a break in the roofing. Here it is, EPDM, a synthetic rubber sheet used as a single-ply roof. Ethylene, propylene, diene, monomer. Either way. So a lot of people get these things. It's not ED, it's EPDM. Okay, ED is a thing that drugs will help. Okay. Expansion joint, a deliberate separation of two roof areas to allow expansion construction of the parts. I don't know if I've seen an expansion joint in roofing lately. Eaves, a protective overhang. Okay. Fascia. There we go. Fish mouth. Oh, there you go. So you look at the shingles, it looks like a fish that's, can't breathe. Flashing. Okay, we've talked about that. Base coating. Gravel stop. Well, that's old. Again, we're not putting ballast. Is anyone putting ballast on any of your roofs anymore? Nope. Okay, so we're really going away from that. High risk roof. What's that mean? A roof scores 15 or greater. Oh, yeah, this is an inspection sheet used by a company I did some work for. But either way, high risk roof, modified bitumen, asphalt with the addition of polymer modifiers to increase cold temperature flexibility, warm weather. Okay. PVC, a generic term for single ply plastic sheet membrane, polyvinyl chloride, seams are fused by solvent. Yeah, okay, that's a TPO roof. We'll look at one of those in a minute. Parapet, it's like a castle. That's a word that was used for castles. Ponding water. Okay. How much ponding water can I have on a roof before it's bad? How long can water sit on a roof before it has to evaporate and meet the roofing
2
requirements?
days.
48 hours.
48 hours. Why do we know it's 48 hours? Why do we know that?
Because you've told us before.
That's right. I've told you that because the state of Arizona says any roof can be built and have water sitting all over it. As long as that water evaporates within 48 hours, they're not going to go after the poor roofer. Okay. That's the rule. And if it can't evaporate within 48 hours, you're in trouble. Okay. There it is. I've told you before. Okay. Slope, the ratio between the measures of rise to horizontal span. Whatever. So 1/4 inch per foot, I need some slope and I need water to drain off. The soffit, the finished underside of the roof overhang. So those are the words you can use and everybody sort of understands them. So here we go. Again, take a screenshot of this. If you're gonna be doing roofs and you want to write all this junk up, you can. It's very important, very important. But debris on roof, drainage, physical damage, attic conditions, structural disformation. Let's put that simple. If the roof is sagging or I'm walking on the roof and it's bouncing a lot, you probably want to stop running across the roof. Okay. And then you can go into the attic. Some people do the attic first. I don't. I like to run around the roof and see if I can make it bounce.
That's just 3/8 inch OSB.
Yes. Yeah. 308 or 16 or 24-inch centers. And usually you can tell, you go, well, somebody had to roof it before. They walked around. They didn't die. Flat membrane roof. Okay, here we go. Condition of coating, granular loss, punctures, cracks, alligating, blisters, fish mouth, bonding. Okay. There we go. Sloped roof, roof material, condition of surface. So this is an insurance, I think this was an insurance thing. Deformed edges, shingles buckled, curling, missing tabs, granular loss, other metal. I don't spend much time writing this up. If it's that bad, it needs to be replaced, everybody. Roof features, fascia, soffit, gutters. This is part of my report. I have a boilerplate that these things are fine. Fall arrest anchors. Wow. If you're up in Seattle, every shingle roof before you go on it has a fall arrest click point. And so you strap this thing onto your back and you run up there and you click it into place so you can run around the roof. So when you fall off, you land 6 inches from the ground, but you're dangling like a little doll so you don't get hurt. Usually it hurts your shoulders a little bit. Yeah. Flashings, control zone access. Okay, so there they require you to walk a certain way. Drains, vents, others. Okay, up here, ceiling conditions. This is inside. Cracks, water stains, leaks, seasonal change. Exterior wall surfaces, deformed finish, interior wall surfaces, cracks. Okay, so if I go up on the roof and I see a bad roof, I know I'm going to find something on the interior and I want to find it. Okay, so if I have scuppers or drains, I'm going to find leakage inside or past leakage. You always want to know, how'd you find it? I don't know. I guess I'm just that lucky. Okay, here's your roof and it's screwed down. What's wrong with it? Okay.
Too
Must have
many
started
screws.
off too wet.
Yeah, I guess they started from both sides of the roof, and then they got to the middle and went, "Whoa, something's wrong here." Now, is there anything really wrong with this? I mean, this overlaps. It just looks like it looks bad, but I mean, this roof here seems to go up under, and it's overlapped and it's screwed down a lot. So, other than being bad and looking bad, does it still serve the same purpose, or is it installed by someone with lack of skills? Yeah.
Took a lot of skills
A
to
lot
screw
of
that
skills.
down.
Okay. So we come over here to the furnace, and I'm guessing this is the furnace based on the vent. Here's my storm collar as required, and I can look and see, look at the big gaps and whatever this thing is they're using that's overlapping this. That's a mess. So my report would say that roof was installed by someone with minimal skills. That makes them mad right now, and that a roofer familiar with metal roofing should investigate and repair as needed to make this roof leak free. Kaboom! There you go. Here's my sewer vent right here with a boot. It's right in the middle. Again, the ridge, have to take a look at that. But all these screws here, they all have a little grommet on them made out of poly product, or no one's using lead hardly at all, but the poly product. And I'll look and half these screws are all loose because they weren't driven in deep enough, and they'll need to be redriven. And so many times you can't redrive them without pulling them out and squirting silicone on them to drive them back in to meet the manufacturer's requirement. Oh, you mean like that? Yep, like that. Okay. So the problem now is if I just drive that down tight, water follows that screw with onto the inside and leaks, and it does happen. So you think these screws should be on the top of these so that water can run down these valleys. And some roofing manufacturers, this is exactly what they want. Others, it's weird. They want that screw down inside here. Well, they leak like crazy, but that's the requirement. So off you go. Okay, but here you can see the grommet is loose on every one of these. So those are going to have to be pulled out, siliconed as required by the manufacturer. And again, I gave you the link so you can look it up. Okay, this is an old metal roof on a house that was like, 150, 200 years old. Each one of these overlaps and they're soldered together. And the roofer comes up and they send me this picture. Of course, it's winter and there's snow on it. And they say to me, should I replace this roof? The roofer says I need a new roof. And I'm going, has it ever leaked? It's in perfect condition. I mean, it is 200 years old. But either way, it's really old. So that tells me that all the siding we have here, this house is probably, I don't know, some sort of log cabin or something. Is this electrical line okay within reach of this window, Harris?
No, you gotta have 3 feet of clearance.
Oh man, you're so picky. 3 feet of clearance. Okay, so you'd write that up because the single hung window can be open from there.
Yes, and you can grab the wire.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Harris. So why do I have snow on part of the roof and not the other part?
No insulation.
Okay. So we have snow in Tucson, everybody, to let you make you feel better. And so, or frost. So I like to do these inspections early in the morning. This isn't in Tucson though. But I like this one because it really shows me what's occurring. So there's snow around the skylight, which is bizarre. And then the rest of the roof has nothing on it. And so there's a lot of heat being lost out of this space. Here's the sewer vent, and there's no loss at all around that, which is really bizarre. I thought methane gas would be doing it. So here's our chimney, and here's our liner with the cap up here. So these are usually used to vent down to the furnace. And then here's my gutter coming across here. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do a built-up painted roof. And Harris, you've probably seen these type of roofs because we used to use a lot of paint. So this roof is a roof that had ballast on it, and they removed the ballast and then they painted it. Do we see much
Well,
of
they-
these anymore?
Better known as gravel.
Yeah. So you couldn't sell a house unless the FHA roof was in good condition with ballast on it. And then we got these new polymers and paints to put on them. So is this roof fairly old then?
Very old.
Very old, yeah. So they've increased the height of the sewer vents on this house with parapets. You notice they're tall here. Why? Look at the vents.
Because of the wind.
Because the wind. So they've increased them in height because sewer smell was accumulating on the roof and getting sucked up through the vent fan or the vent here, probably for the kitchen. They smelled it inside the house. So you get these ones where they say, oh, the bathroom smells. I don't understand why on windy days. So that's a problem. So these were increased in height. What's this condensate line? Oh, damn it. Okay. What's this line here called hooked up to the sewer vent?
Condensate line.
Thank you.
Addition
You're all the
drain.
best. Thank you. So the sewer vents are required to be used for no other purpose than venting, everyone. So when they leave the roof, there's nothing else to be hooked to them. That's in the plumbing code. Now, these air conditioning guys, they say, I don't care about you plumbers. And they just drill a hole and put it in. Is anyone going to write this up as being wrong and it needs to be repaired, Harris?
Yes.
Well,
Yes. Yes,
You're
everyone else
supposed
but Harris answered me. Thank you. Harris doesn't care. Do you, Harris?
no,
he
I don't care.
He cares. Okay. He really means it. He cares. So whenever
I'm
I see a
joking around.
condensate line, what, Harris?
I say I'm joking around.
Yeah, I know you are. So Harris does write this up because we are recording this. Thank you. And they left the can of paint here. That's the best part of it. So after they painted the roof, they wanted to make sure that this line was supported. I will look down through this pipe, and a lot of times this plastic line is bottomed out on the other side of the pipe, and that's why you get a leakage downstairs, or it's leaking because it's leaking around this vent, and you'll see it downstairs, whatever it might be. Big skylights, the flashing around these always has to be checked. And now what's happening is a lot of cracks in the dome, around the edges. And everyone says, well, what's the big deal? The dome is cracked. Okay.
It's going to leak.
Yeah, it's going to leak. Well, there's two domes, so they think the other one's there to find leaks. So this here, in this case, this is one of these condominiums or townhouses where you have other units in other areas, and someone couldn't crawl over this wall, so they put a little bitty ladder right here. Okay, Harris, this is a built-up painted roof. What's wrong with it?
A built-up painted roof. It doesn't look so good.
Yeah, okay. So it has no paint.
No paint.
Okay.
It's old. The drip edge is not installed right.
Okay. Now, in the good old days, like 5-6 years ago, drip edge was always installed on the top, and then they three-coursed it into place. Is that proper, or should it be underneath the tar paper?
It's supposed to be underneath.
Yeah. So you're always going to see dry rotted fascia board on the soffits with this type of installation. But this was the standard way they did it to hold the edge down, and then they run a bunch of nails along this edge. So this is called three-coursing. The roofers call it three-coursing. So they'll nail this down, they put some tar, and then they embed it with this mesh, and then more tar, and then I guess that's your three courses. So there you go. Is there anybody here who would jump from here onto that roof? I had a buyer that did that at an inspection the other day. Said, well, thank you for paying me before you jumped. Or what pocket are your keys in so we can start your car to take you to the hospital? Okay, so is this roof in poor condition then, Harris?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we can see here that the paint has worn off the surface, and it's been wet, so you can see these black areas. So it must have been raining. So again, I'll take a screwdriver and I'll push it into the surface and see if it's pliable. It is not pliable. The roofer used to come over and he'd punch a hole with a little punch, and then he'd patch it and say, hell, look how old this is. I don't think you have to do that. It's old. So can I have a shingle roof on this slope?
No,
So what's the minimum
Yes.
slope, Harris?
It's 412 is the
212.
minimum for single.
Yeah.
212.
Yeah, we could go 212 or 312 if we double them up, but if I'm at an
Yes.
inspection, do I know that? Can I see that? No, I write
You
that up.
cannot.
Yeah,
Yep, it has to be installed per manufacturer's requirements.
thank you. Thank you. Who's saying that? Who can you say?
It's me, Ken.
Oh, Ken. Okay, thanks. I couldn't tell. I can't tell you which one of your lips are moving. Okay, what's the defective here? The roof or the paint?
The paint.
So now this is pretty typical when we had two different types of roof surfaces. We don't see much oil-based paint used anymore because they've outlawed almost all of it. So your aluminized silver paint that was pretty common at one time was an oil-based paint, and latex just didn't stick to it. But now that everything's latex, even your aluminized paint, it's separating. So in this case, the whole roof needs to be repainted. Look at your flashing here. I do have a flashing. For some reason, the support of whatever this thing here is hanging over, and black tar again. So should any of the black tar be exposed to UV rays at all?
No.
No. So all the black tar requirement is that it be okay. It's called skimming. You put it on, and after you put it on, it skims, and once the color changes, it skims. Then you paint the surface as required by the manufacturer of the product, which could be Henry's or Blackjack or any of those products that you might be using. Okay, this is a built-up painted roof with parapets. What is our main issue here, Harris?
You don't have enough drainage.
Yeah. So I have ponding water across the whole roof, but the question is, would this evaporate within my 48 hours to meet that requirement?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So we'd
It's
have
hard
to,
to say. I could say it could.
yeah, it could, it might. So I would go down here and look at the paint and see if any of the paint is compromised. And I could almost see the lines here underneath the roofing of what's here. So maybe the decking below it is like planks or something, an old, this is a commercial building. So you could see that because here's your commercial here. And then you can see this parapet and this parapet here are right next to each other. So we're using a shared wall. One of the problems we have with this type of thing is unless this roof is sealed across this parapet, water comes down along this edge and leaks through the parapet. So I write this up when I have a shared common wall. Shared common wall. And then down here at the other end, I have a scupper or drain, canelli. When I go inside, I look for leakage. I look for leakage down underneath it. Okay. I have two compressors down here. So these are split system units, and the furnace must be inside the building and hooked to this old style gas flue pipe that's higher than the parapet is required. Do gas flue pipes have to be higher than the parapet for proper venting? Yes or no?
Yes.
Nod your head.
Yes.
Okay. So in this case here, I learned something new today. I actually read the instruction booklet on an air conditioner. So the rule on these old units is that I have to have 24 inches of space between them, which is 12 inches for each unit. So I got to this house. They just installed it 6 months later. Actually, it's an 11-month inspection, and they were only 12 inches apart. So I said, "Do you have the installation book?" Because I like to look at pictures, and they have the pictures there. And I look at it, and there's a picture of two air conditioning units and a double-headed arrow, and the word 6 inches, and 6 inches makes 12. And sure enough, that manufacturer said that these two units could be 12 inches apart, even though everyone else on the planet says 24. So this roof here is a built-up painted roof. My only issue here is see how high the parapet is, see how low the vents are. So I write up the vents as being too short because it makes methane gas ponding prevalent, so it doesn't vent properly. Some of you say, "What's the big deal?" It's not a big deal as long as you can live long enough to get out of the roof. Okay, here's a secondary drain. Okay, let's go back to this one. All roof areas like this must have two drain locations or a drain big enough to handle all this water to get off the roof. All roof areas have to have two drains or a drain big enough for all the water to get off the roof. That's the rule. It's been that way for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, 40 years. So let's take a look. So here we have a primary drain and a secondary drain for safety and a bunch of debris laying here. So they put this over this, and when we see this type of thing, I always write down all drains need to be made clear for proper drainage, because we don't know if they're clear or not. Okay, here's your ponding water, and you can see how your paint's peeling. Here's your paint peeling, and this delamination of the paint. So Harris, when you come over here and look at this, see this little pudging here, right here, on all the paint? The paint's floating
Yeah.
in the water, everybody. This is water underneath the surface here. And I just drag my foot across it and it just rips the paint because it's floating in where it's leaked. It's probably dry by now, but either way, it's bad. Okay, gas lines being installed on roofs, that's the new thing, or replumbing. These rubber booted things are a problem because when they install them, they smash downward and then the water follows the pipe to the inside and leaks. They got the 2-hole strap here, and I don't know, just similar metals. Is that going to be a problem, Harris?
You got 2 different types of metal. You have a reaction.
Yeah, you might have a reaction here depending on the metal. And then right here they have yellow. Oh, yellow. They should have yellow tape for gas, but they have white tape. And some locations, if they got a permit, that would be the requirement. So would you call for a gas pressure test based on this unprofessional installation?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So
And the other thing too is,
Well, it should be permitted, should it not?
well, let's pretend it's not, just based on what I'm seeing. See, half the time, if it's on the roof, the inspector never gets on the roof. They don't carry a ladder. They're not required to go there. All they do is they go down below and they look for the pressure gauge. And if it's holding pressure, 10 pounds for 10 pounds for 10 minutes or 20 pounds for 20, and they tap on it and it doesn't move, they say, okay, you're fine. Go ahead and fire it up. And then all this stuff here, they used the wrong tape and there's no roof jack and this could leak. So if I see something that looks like this and the insulation, I mean, even the tar used around this looks like it's not patching tar. It looks like that stuff that's real gooey. What's it called? Black magic patching stuff. So I would ask for a pressure if there's no permit. If there is a permit, then I say you need to verify there's a permit that they got this pressure checked. Okay. So the rule is all pipes, conduit, gas lines, whatever, have to be a certain distance off the roof. And what's that distance, Harris?
1.5 inches.
Inch and a half. Now, why would they pick inch and a half? Do you think it's because that's the thickness of a 2x4? Yes.
2x4 and also unistrut.
Yeah, or unistrut if you're an electrician and want to be real fancy. Okay, so here's a parapet. Here's your mineral surface, and here it's all torn underneath, and they ran the roof up underneath here, and then at the top of the parapet, they ran the mineral surface down along the surface, and it's hanging there. They said, we did a great job. It looks perfect. So all this is falling apart, and it needs a roof. The parapet's shot. Okay, this takes a second to look at, but this is a frame building. So take a look up here where my mouse is. Here's the stucco coming over the parapet. Here's your Z flashing, or maybe stucco stop at this point. Well, I'm not too worried about that. This roof right here where my mouse is always comes up and up, 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 and goes on the top of the parapet. Then the stucco comes down over it. And this piece of metal is here, not as a flashing, but as a stop for the stucco. So the stucco has somewhere to stop. That's what it's for. So right here. So you take your mirror, look up underneath there, or take your hand if you want. I'm not going to stick my fingers up in there to see what it looks like. If it's an older house, this roof is always going to come up and finish on the top of the stucco and be patched into place. Here's your drain with your little baby 3-inch drain. And then here's a lot of paint here and dirt sitting, so we know the water sits. So any parapeted roof, I have to have 2 drains or 1 drain big enough to handle all the water. Okay, so here's your parapets. Here's your whatever this is sitting on the roof. And if you look really hard, you can see right here where I'm drawing a line, they've installed a big repair on the roof. Here's the older roof right here. See? So someone's done a repair. Here's another repair. So they're hiding damage, and here's your cricket right here. Here's your ponding water. Okay, and here's your gas line coming across the roof or whatever that pipe is. So they're hiding repairs. Look at the height of your parapet. It's about 4 or 5 feet high. Trees, so we write that up there. So in this case, you got to really look hard to make sure there's no signs of any leakage, but they've done a repair over another roof that's been there. So this is the one that gets you stuck later. Okay, Harris, what are you going to say about this roof? It rained today. I'll make you feel better. It rained today.
Okay, well, you have water ponding on the roof, and the ponding water should be, removed or have the slope changed or have it repaired.
Okay, now I thought ponding water could sit on a roof for 48 hours.
Under most circumstances, but if it sits there like that, it'll ruin the roof anyway.
Yeah, but it rained today.
It rained today.
It just rained
Oh.
today.
Well, the other thing is the amount of debris. It could be damming up that area that's not allowing it to drain.
Thank you. So in this case here, we have debris laying on the roof. So we need the debris. We need the tree branches cut off. And the tree branches have to be cut off how much? Enough to stop dropping debris on the roof if possible. But this ponding here, and if I look, is this a single ply mineral surface rolled roof? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's single ply. So there it is. It's hot mopped on the corners or it's a peel and stick, but this is a single ply roof. So man, this thing better be waterproof. So I'm going to go inside and take a look. And some of you may be using infrared on the inside. This would be a great day to use infrared if you like to play with those things. I have one of those toys. It's the best. Harbor Freight's selling them now for like $100. Okay, here's a built-up painted roof. Again, this aluminized paint is now as a water-based paint. And so let's start over here at the right. Here's a T-top vent, and I have a gas line. So just based on, I'm on the roof first, I'd have to say this is the vent for the kitchen. It's 8-inch round. I don't know what else it would be for. I'm looking for the screen here to see if it's there, 1/4 inch. Here's my gas line coming across. That's the one we saw earlier. And I can't run more than one appliance off of 1/2 inch gas. So if I have a 3/4 line, I can run that and run 2 or 3 appliances. But the way it works is the BTUs of one 1/2 inch pipe can only run one gas appliance that's 40,000 or less BTUs. And then there's all these other rules you guys can all yell at me for. So here we come down here and we can see it's strapped. It's strapped. The rule is the gas line has to be supported every 8 feet. And at every joint. So if we look here, this is away from the joint. So this has to be slid over here to the joint. This one's fine, or slid over to the joint. So every joint has to be supported and every space longer than 8 feet. Okay. Harris, there seems to be a sewer pipe here. They've extended in height. Let's go back. They've extended the sewer pipe in height. Here's the water heater, I'm guessing, and here's the kitchen over here. So they took the sewer pipe and added pipe to it. Why would they have done that?
It was probably backdrafting.
Yeah. So you have this smell, and everyone goes, "Whoa, what's that smell?" Just make the pipe taller in the bathroom, make it taller, and then you'll be fine, typically. Okay. You just can't see it, but it's smelling. Okay, those of you that do tile roof inspections, these are your batten boards, and you can see there's a gap between here. That's to allow any water to drain off. And they nail these all over the roof, so the keyways in the back of the tile have some place to sit. Your ridge up here is nailed on with your product over the top of the ridge. This is a lead flashing. This boot, when it slides down, folds to the inside of the vent here, and then this plate interweaves itself so that water can flow around it. So Harris, why are we loading the roof with tile? So why are we loading the roof with tile?
Well, you have to, because the trusses underneath have to stretch under the weight of the new roof. And so you weight it down with all the roof tiles until they settle down to the right height.
Yeah. So all the engineered wood is designed under load, not out of load. So you have to stress it. Okay. So take a look here. Is this tar paper installed properly?
No,
No, it doesn't
No,
extend
that-
off the edge of the eaves. So you're going to have leakage here. So in this case, if you're doing a new inspection and they're going to put tile on this, it's all exposed wood along this edge. Oh man, come on. So that's all
Well, they
wrong.
haven't put the drip edge in yet, though, have they?
There's no drip edge yet. So let's pretend there is going to be some, and that drip edge has got to be under this, but their installation for them is on top. So if I have any leakage, it's going to rot this all out. So it's not my job to tell them what to do, but either way, I can't have any exposed wood. What's the rule for sheathing? This is your decking, and this is your overlayment. Your overlayment has to cover all exposed wood that can be damaged by water. That's the rule. Okay. There it is, loaded. Loaded. Okay. And your batten boards are set up with gaps in between them. And you can see here that there's a drip edge along this one. Okay. Okay. This is a special kind of tile that's handmade by laying it over the thighs of people in other countries. So that's how these shingles were originally made. So it's tapered as the shape of someone's thigh. And this product, they used to throw these away. They were called clinkers. Now they're coveted. But here are the burn marks from the kiln burning it to give you this beautiful look. But these are very soft tiles. I just don't see them much anymore because all the dumbos walk on them and then break them. But these are mission tiles. There's a cap and then a pan, a cap and a pan. Okay. And then most of these are held on by gravity, except the first two or three that are wired in place so they can't slide off the roof. Okay. Are you going to write up a cracked skylight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this one's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, come on. There's a huge crack. I mean, who can't see this? So when you find two or three or four and the roof might have 8 or 9, are you going to go through and start counting them? Or are you going to say, it's on 5 out of the 8, check all skylights when they're being replaced? Okay. So when I first started doing inspections, I would say I found 2 cracked skylights. And by the time the person would get there to repair them, there were 4 or 5, like I took a picture of each one because I said, oh, I need a picture of everything. They crack as they get older. So okay. Again, I'm on this roof over here and I'm looking over to the next roof. I do not walk any tile roofs, everybody right here. See this tile roof? I'm not walking on it. I'm standing on the back porch. It's a low slope roof. I'm looking over and what is this tea kettle looking device for? What is that?
it's from a furnace.
Yeah, that's your concentric vent for your furnace. So the middle one is your gas vent here, and underneath it is where your air is pulled in for combustion air. These are pretty common now, but when I took this picture, there was like, seeing a Yeti or, a unicorn running around. But you see these now because we have all these high efficiency furnaces. So as I look across to this other house, I see chips here and I see cracks here in the edge of the roof. Now, I've now gotten the warranty from a couple companies, and I'm reading through their warranties, and chips and gaps and shingles are not covered at all. So I'm going to put that together and start emailing those out to you guys so you can read it. It's quite interesting, some of the things that the builders will not fix. So does anyone know what they call this type of vent cap? Instead of putting a roof vent, they just put this box around and they fill it with tar. In Canada, this is very
Called a-
common. Huh?
It's called a pitch pocket.
Pitch pocket. Okay. Yeah, he hangs out with a lot of Canadians. You see this at airports. I fly a lot, so I see this. It's a pitch pocket, and so they fill it full of tar. What's wrong with the sewer vent?
Not high enough.
It's too short, everybody. So I don't say sewer vent's not properly installed. I say the sewer vent isn't high enough off the roof to meet the minimum requirements. That's what I say. Correction needed. Okay. Then over here, I see something, whatever it is, with a T-top cap on it, and water sits in it. See how it's all ponding here? So the pitch pocket is there to stop it from leaking, not form a boat. So this is a built-up painted roof. Now, if you notice this roof, if I measure this, this is 12 inches instead of 16 to 18 like we saw on the other roofs. So when I see 12 inches, is that a 4-ply roof, Harris?
Well, it could be a 4-ply, but it's mainly 3.
Yeah. So he likes the word 4. So this is a 4-ply roof because it's probably commercial. And so 4 plies just means there's 4 layers, and they lay it over higher. So instead of 50% overlay, it's 3/4 inch, 3/4 overlay. And so it's four roofs. We don't know any of that, but when you see, that's pretty typical. Okay, when you walk around the house and you're looking at the eaves or the overhangs and the fascia, a lot of missing of this type of products occurring. Is this dry rot or delamination of the plywood at the eaves?
Dry rot.
Dry rot.
Yeah, so it's rot and decay, however you want to say it, I don't care, and delamination of the plywood. So you don't even have to have something this ominous showing. You can just see this here on the left and a little bit up here. When I see that, here's your rafter coming over and here's your fascia board, and it's usually rot along this edge, but this is because the drip edge is installed incorrectly. Okay, I do a lot of houses with metal roofs. This one here is one of these ones where they take this seam and they bend it on a special bender, and then they snap them together. And I tried to lift it and it just pops right off. And I'll have to say the client told me the roof was rattling a lot when it was windy, so I sort of knew it was loose. It's not
That's
that I'm
why.
that good, huh? I'm not that good. So I put my screwdriver there to hold it up, and then there was getting some leakage down below. So they installed this gutter and stopped the gutter right here, so the water would drain away. And then down below, they've been patching this and trying to fix it. Um, Either way, this had to be fixed. Okay, so this is a case where I'm not going to walk on the tile roof because some other jackass walked on it. Here it's cracked, here it's cracked, here it's cracked, here along the barrel. So my problem here is that each one of these shingle tiles is loose, plus someone walked across the roof and repaired. So who did this damage? Was that me or someone else?
Somebody else.
Somebody else. I never walk on tile roofs. I can just tell you that right now. So if you see me walking, please take a picture. It's like, seeing a unicorn. So this tile roof is a S type, I think, or is this Mission? I can't tell from here. Oh, okay. So
Looks like Mission. It doesn't look like an S tile.
Yeah, it's a Mission. Okay, thank you. So here's my cap and my pan. Cap and a pan. This is pretty expensive. Now, is this clay or concrete?
Clay.
Clay. So take a look and you can see it's clay all the way through. So this is a real expensive roof, weighs a ton. It's in Arizona. There's a cactus to make everyone feel better. Someone stole one of my pictures and was using it for their class back in Wisconsin or something. And he said, "Oh, I took this picture." And I'm going, "Yeah, I'm quite sure they transplanted those cactus into your backyard." Okay, so
Hey,
your
Brick,
head
I have a
wall.
question for you, Brick.
Say what?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you don't walk on tile roofs. How do you have the roof evaluated? Do you say you need to have a licensed roofer evaluate the roof, or
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, when it's
So
tile.
you make a recommendation that somebody needs to look at it if you're not getting up on it.
Yes, and I'm not getting on it. They know that to start with. There's no doubt about it. If it has a tile roof, and I know it does because I went on Google Earth and I see the tile roof. We just don't walk on them because I don't want
Okay.
that liability. We just don't walk on them. And I'm not going to move my ladder around and say, "Oh, I looked at 50% of it." And no one said anything. We've been doing this for 20 years, and the roofers, like today we did it up in Saddlebrook. The roofer was running around up on the roof pulling tiles. I don't know who this guy was, but he was just pulling tiles, running across the roof, like Spider Boy. We just don't walk on them, and everybody knows that, and no one complains ever. Okay. I don't have to prove I'm that good, so we just don't do it. So, but we get up on the built-up painted part of the roof, and then we look over and we can see here's the head wall coming loose from the shingles, and I have a gap here. There's no counter flashing. Hardly no one puts them in. That would be a let-in piece of metal along this edge where the stucco. This is probably frame stucco. Let's just say it is. This roof is not clay. It's concrete with a pigment color in the surface. and you can see the difference in graininess. Okay, so I'd write this up. This roof you'll never see in our lifetime again, but I thought I'd show it to you for the old timers. This is a split shake roof. We used to have these everywhere, and people made money putting linseed oil on them to make them more flammable.
Some of these in Arcadia in Phoenix.
Yeah, they still got them.
Yeah, there are. There's actually more than you would think.
Well, hey, take some pictures. I need some more recent pictures of houses that still haven't burned down. But in Tucson, these roofs were everywhere, and on some of these roofs were 40, 50 years old, from the 30s, 40s, 60, 70 years old, and these guys were spraying linseed oil on them mixed with a little bit of kerosene, so they were really flammable, and that's called log oil, and it's the best sealer on the planet for sealing wood and other products. Okay, so again, I don't walk on tile, but I can stand on the parapet and look down. Should the tiles be hanging off over the edge like that?
No,
No. So I think this whole row is slid downward. So this is mission tile again, a pan cap with cement in between them or mortar. And so this can be a little difficult to repair because the whole row is slid down the roof. So most of these guys, they get up on a ladder and just sort of pound it backwards. And then they use silicone. Everyone's using a caulk and a silicone to seal them. It's just sort of bizarre. Okay. Here is a mansard roof with tile running around the edge, and you can see it's just sort of coming loose. Is this roof copper?
looks like it.
Yeah, it's copper with soldered seams. I took a picture. So when I see a roof and I'm driving around, I get out of my truck right away and snap a picture, because this again is like seeing a Yeti running around, and I snap a picture. But people say, "Oh my God, that roof's horrible." The next thing you know, they're roofing over or tearing it off. I mean, it's a 100-year-old roof. If it's here's your metal roof. Is this screwed down properly to meet the manufacturer's minimum standards?
You got to read the standards.
You got to read it, but typically every 4 feet is not what's required. Some of them it's 2 feet or 3. So in this case, they're every 4, and I just wrote it up. These panels are metal, and then they make them oxidized. The way they used to do is take muriatic acid, spray it on there. It just kept eating the metal. Now they come as black iron. Flashed it. Okay, so here's your proper repair, but the kick out flashing doesn't exist. So take a look here. All they did was extend the flashing out and then make it drip. We're supposed to bend this forward a little bit. It still can be fixed. Here's your pan flashing. There should always be a pan flashing along this edge so that when this curve comes down, the water gets in the pan and runs out. This isn't long enough. It's not. Here's your drip edge. Here's your wood. And then again, this is your pan and your cap. And look here, see the wire attached here? So there's a wire in the hole, and it goes back to a nailed onto the roof. Old school stuff. It's pretty nice. Okay. So we required that they repair the pan flashing. It was buried inside the stucco. They fixed it all right. So they cut it and they slid it back as required. And then they have this big old area where there's no finish. So I had to write that one up again. And here you can see the tile in this case is a low weight cement tile. Again, these seams being loose like that, bad. You can see the bean pods in there. So they always want to know, why'd you pull it apart? I like to get up close to my work. So here's a picture, and this isn't what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this tar paper underneath here and seeing that the overlap where the seam is, this is where the leakage usually occurs, is right here. And then here's your drip in your edge of your bird stop. This is an aggregate type shingle roof, so it's lightweight. And this V-shaped W vent here, roof vent, goes back up, and it might be 6 or 12 inches up underneath the shingles. They painted the roof too soon, and when they do that, the tar still moves and the paint has no ability to stop it from occurring. This is your stucco on your parapet. Take a look right here, and you can see this is your Z flashing. Z flashing is your requirement. It's not there for the roof. It's there for the stucco to have somewhere to stop everybody. So this roof comes up all the way underneath. The Z's not there, the stucco's not there, and the roof goes all the way to the top of the parapet. Then after that's on, this product is nailed to the wall, and the stucco comes back down and stops at the top of this fitting. Now, to know if a roof's been replaced, you stick your fingers up under this metal edge and see if you can feel the edge of the roofing. And a lot of times you go, oh, wow, they replaced the roof and stuck the edge of the roof up under this edging. Okay. Because I like to know if the roof's been replaced. Here's the installation of the lead inside the sewer vent. Anybody have any problems with this installation? So this is concrete tiles. I got a crack right here. See the crack? Surprising how far you can see if you're just leaned forward. And then here's your skylight. Oh, I hate these flashings. So in this case here, the water falls down into this and has to drain out and work its way. So this is a curb mount. Trees on the roof. I write that up every time. Harris, is this roof made out of tires okay?
Yeah, it's when the rubber hits the road.
That's when the rubber hits the road. There you go. You're the best. Okay, I put this one in for extra credit. This is a foam roof. You're not going to see, some of you might see this. Foam roofs are put on in layers when they spray it. Here's the first layer, the second layer, the third layer, the fourth layer. These roofs can be 2 inches thick as they spray the expansion foam on. These were all the rage. The problem is you can't put them on when there's any wind because it atomizes in the air and this product just floats through the wind and sticks to everything on the planet. And then you paint the surface. But I have these on a couple of buildings I own, and they're the best roof on the planet for insulation. So I showed you that. We saw the screws loose. Here the wind is blowing these tiles right on off. They've exposed the ridge here. This is clay tile. So, you know, you make your money on these. I don't have to get up on the roof to see these. Does this need a roof? Yeah. I don't even know why they're hiring me.
That'll last another decade.
I would
Yeah,
say
do I need
monitor.
Yeah, I mean, I got 3, 4, 5, 6 different roofs here. It's only leaking. Okay, so this was like $1 billion house, a couple of million in the foothills, and they wanted to know why the fireplaces were leaking. So we come down here, and here's their flashing. Here's another flashing with some goop on it, and then here's your grills. What's the mesh requirement for spark arresters, everybody? No smaller than what? Half inch. So these might be half, they might be quarter, but they sure look nice. So, you know, I wrote them up. Okay, Harris, here's your chance for ponding water. Okay,
It looks good.
it looks good. Yeah. So here we can see the water line up high, and why this roof hasn't collapsed, I don't have a clue. So I had to write this one up pretty strong. It just doesn't drain. Okay, it just doesn't drain. But they sure thought it was
Well, it's
nice.
only been 24 hours though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if, yeah, here's how it works. If the water's over an inch deep, I doubt you're going to get that. So there is the 24-inch rule also states that you can't be over a certain depth of water and to meet that requirement. But I always use the 48 where we're at for that. Okay, so here's where you have your fly rafter come down. They cut it back and they roofed underneath this area, but the birds are in here. And this is where you want to look up underneath your eaves and look for leakage. It's always pretty common. This is concrete tile nailed on the sides. I'm always looking for my nails. I got 10 slides left here. We've gone over 4 minutes. Okay. So here again is my eave overhang, a bird nest. I'm going to write that up. Here's my pan flashing up against the wall, and here's my kick out flashing. So I'm going to write up the bird nest is blocking water. Now, I want you to take a look at this drain hole in this bird stop here. Bird stop. Here's your drip edge right here. So when we're doing an inspection, we're looking to see if any water is coming out of this hole. Why would water be coming out of that, Harris?
Only because water is getting underneath the shingles.
Thank you. Okay, so there's another bird nest. I'm mesmerized by bird nests. And here's our nailing on one of these. You know, I wanted to give you some close-ups here. Okay, so here's where I walk around the perimeter, and everyone says, "Oh, you're not doing a full inspection." Whatever. I don't have to. So I walked around, and I can see a line cascading down from this location with an arrow. I'm putting the arrow here so you can all see it. Water's getting underneath the roof, way up in here somewhere, coming underneath the tile and leaking out through these drip holes. Is that normal, Harris?
That is normal.
It is normal?
Yeah.
When it's leaking,
It
means when it's leaking, that's
happens.
normal. Huh?
Well, it's leaking because the shingles themselves have air gaps in between each shingle, and the wind blows underneath the water underneath the shingle.
Yeah, so that's normal for that case. So depending on what you have for a counter flashing, depending on where it is, I would write these up, depending on what it is, and you can look at it. And they always come back and say the tar paper shot. Okay, so here is a vent coming up out of the roof, and you can see all these lines here, and here's all your streaks, and here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. But I had it nowhere else, just right here. So depending on where it is. So in this case here, they came back and said the flashing was bad around this vent. They fixed it. This is what happens when you walk in a tile roof and you're not qualified. Oops. Okay. Here's a fly rafter coming in, and so a lot of times this is all closed up and you have your leakage underneath your eaves right here. But this looks pretty nice, and they painted all this. But when they paint it and the paint's all fresh, I'm always wondering, oh, what am I missing? Okay, you're gonna report on dry rot on the fascia.
Of
Now,
course.
yeah, look up here where your drip edge is. The requirement is that there be a 1x2 underneath here, so I don't have capillary action causing water to run down this edge. So underneath this piece of metal, the architects, sorry if there's anybody an architect here, they like this nice flat surface product. That's what this bend out here is for. This lip is to cut loose that capillary action of surface tension where water runs down the surface. Dry rot again, back in the eaves. Okay. I always write down new plywood along the eaves. Here's new fascia board and new plywood. If you take a look here, you can see plywood. Plywood is required on the eaves, not OSB. Plywood on the eaves, not a OSB. Here's a repair. You can see the repair, and the shingles are up here. There's another repair here. So then I go across the roof, and the shingles are delaminating or falling loose. Here they put metal, and you can even see the metal. It's nailed backwards up into the planking here on the eaves of a roof. This green paint, could this green paint contain lead?
Yes.
Yes. So any house you have that's prior to 1960 or something, all this green paint's all original probably, and it contains more lead than we'd see in any toy. I want to thank everybody for attending. Anything else, Harris? Yes.
Nope. I think that should do it.
Does anybody have any questions before we go night here?
I do, Brick.
Yes, go ahead.
So we were talking about vents. So I've got a house built in 1960. It's got a 3-inch cast iron main vent, and it's only 3 inches up.
Right.
That was probably what the code was at the time when it was built. So my maybe heartache a little bit is if I call out that vent isn't high enough. When it was built, it was okay. It might not be okay for today's standards, but when it was built, it was okay. So
you want me to look
I've
it up?
run into some issues. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Harris, since you were around in 1929 doing electrical and plumbing work, has the rule always been approximately 4 to 6 inches?
Yeah, it has really. It hasn't changed in all those years.
Yeah. The plumbers are pretty. I'll look it up specifically. I have some old code books going back. Everybody has to realize prior to the 40s or 50s, there was no real code. They started doing codes because the insurance companies said you're going to have to install stuff properly. Otherwise, here's what we're doing. So the reason for that height, again, is snow, freezing the vent, and water running down the roof, jumping into the sewer vent. So I don't write it up every time, but I just have to look at it. And if it's really short, I'm going to write it up and say it's too short.
I know, does it snow there? Where you at?
No, I'm in Phoenix.
Okay. It's probably not going to be probably never going to be an issue.
Yeah.
That's why I don't usually write it up.
No, I don't spend any time writing it up unless somebody says to me, "Ooh, I have smell in the bathroom. I can't get rid of it."
Okay.
Any other questions? Again, thank you for everyone signing in. Those of you that had trouble, sorry, we'll fix it later. Haley, thanks for coming on. Thanks for Richard,
Well, good.
Steve, Keith, Key, Harris, and Roger. Roger's our president, everybody. Say hi, Roger.
Hi,
And if our next class, I think, is on what? What is it, Harris? Is it on plumbing, I believe?
It was plumbing, yeah.
Coming on the 22nd, I think, right?
Yeah, and it's on plumbing in 2 weeks. So I'll actually have that code reference for you because I know it's going to be a problem if I don't.
Thanks,
All
Brett.
right.
Thanks, Harris.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Brett.
Bye-bye.